Hello, welcome all. I'm Dr. Maryam Zulfiqar, OET mentor at PET exam expert. And we have designed this webinar for all of you, which main topic is how should I prepare for OET and what are the secrets behind success of OET. So how many of you are joining us for our course? Can you please tell me? You can comment in the chat box and you can talk as well by your microphone on. So among 19 candidates, 19 participants, no one is joining. Dr. Reena, okay, let me check. Dr. Reena said first time. Okay, Dr. Reena, I think you might be telling your exam attempt that is your first time. I was asking about med exam OET course. Okay, that's good if you are taking your exam for the first time. Okay, now I'm going to share my screen with you. You have to tell me that it is visible to you or not, so that we can start our webinar for today. So is my screen visible?
Yes, doctor, it is visible.
Okay, thank you. So I heartily welcome you all in today's webinar. And the topic of today's webinar is how should I prepare for OET? This is the most frequently asked question by a lot of the students who messages us, who DM us, who their most important query is, how should I prepare for OET? And we have designed this webinar for the sole purpose. And the greatest news is that today Dr. Iffat Noreen will also join us, and she will join us shortly after 15 to 20 minutes. And she will guide you about listening and reading preparation, and I will guide you about writing and speaking module. So let's start with writing module, OET writing. Okay. So all of you know that the OET writing module is for 45 minutes. Time allocation will be of 45 minutes. And for the first 5 minutes, you have to understand the case notes which are given, for which you have to write a letter. And for the next 40 minutes, this will be allowed to you for writing of letter. The team will invigilate you and they will supervise you for this. And after 5 minutes of understanding case notes, they will allow you to write the letter for the next 40 minutes. So please keep it in mind. Okay, now just focus on the task. First of all, what you have to do is whenever you take a paper of OET writing and you see that there are case notes, there is a patient name. First of all, what you have to do is you have to see the last lines of the letter, that what is your main task, because the task is usually given at the end of the letter. And you have to check that what is your task. Okay, whether you, to whom doctor you have to write, what is the specialty of the doctor, what is the address of the doctors to whom the letter is being written. Okay, now start with the letter writing. First, you have to write the address of the doctor to whom you are writing. Then comes the date, and the format of the date is like, you should write like this, today is 5th of January. Most of the students write 5-01-2023. This is not a correct way. It is not appreciated. It is correct. You can consider it correct, but it is not appreciated. The most important format of the date is that you should write like 5th January 2023. You should write January in full form. Okay. And then there comes a reference. In reference, you have to write the name of the patient. And then there comes date of birth or the age of the patient. Whatever is given in your case notes, you have to write this, whether it is age, whether it is date of birth. And then the next thing is body of the letter. after writing all the address, date, reference, patient name, and patient date of birth, your first part of letter is completed. Okay. So let me tell you one thing very clearly, that in OET writing, you are being assessed on number of stages. It is not like that that you have not written the greetings well, and after that your body is excellent, but you want given marks for that greeting. You have to secure marks on each and every part of the OET letter. So there come next slide for body of the letter. Okay, now you have written the address, date, reference, patient name, patient age. Then there comes the body of the letter, and the body of the letter is consistent of the purpose, which is the first main paragraph, and after that there comes introduction, like history, patient complaints, patient previous visits, patient family history, social history, whatever you think is relevant, you should write in that body of the letter. And let me tell you, after purpose, the body of the letter should be consistent of 5 or 6 paragraphs, and each line should be consistent of 4 or 5 or 5 or 6 lines. And then in this way, your word count will be appropriate. So let me tell you, the body of the letter, we were talking about body of the letter. It should contain purpose, which should be written most appropriately. Most of the students know that how to write purpose most beautiful. Let me tell you, the purpose of the letter is the main thing on which you will be given grade B, because we all know that the grade B is the passing grade for the OET writing, and for all other modules as well, like listening, reading, and speaking. So if your purpose is written beautifully, you will be given grade B on that stage. And after that, if your letter is written very wonderful, you will be assessed more, score more for all these. Maybe you given 400 above, you will be given 450. Okay, that will be margin for your letter. But if your purpose is the main thing, try to write your purpose very beautifully. It must contain 2 things. Number 1, the services you want from the doctor. And the second thing is the diagnosis of your patient. And it is very important that you should write the correct diagnosis, appropriate diagnosis, because in many of the letters, there is no complete diagnosis written. In many of the letters, you can see that there is a question mark, and question mark is of suspicion, like you are not confirmed that diagnosis is this. So if you are able to understand the proper diagnosis, and you should write in your letter, and you are telling your doctor that these services you are required from the doctor, then your purpose is excellent, and you will surely grade B in that letter. Okay. I have tell you, if your purpose is written accurately, then surely you score grade B. If there is no other grammatical mistake and the format of letter is also correct. This is the condition as well. Okay, after purpose, there should organization of case notes in paragraphs. I have told you that appropriately 4 or 5 paragraphs, and each consistent of 3 to 4 lines. And one thing there is more important, that after every paragraph, you should leave 1 blank line. This will give a very nice impression to the examiner. Okay, at end, greeting of the letter is must. Greeting, you should write whenever the name of the patient is written. You should write at the end of the letter is yours sincerely, doctor. But when you don't know the name of the letter, like in some of the letters, you are asked to write to the admitting officer, you are asked to write to the registrar emergency medicine. So you don't know the name of the doctor. So what you have to do is you should write yours faithfully and doctor. If you don't know the name, then you should write yours faithfully. If you know the name, then you should write yours sincerely. This is the most important point. Please note it. Okay, format of letter is very important, and it varies from letter to letter, as there are 4 kinds of letter. We know that what are the 4 kinds of letter. These are referral, urgent referral, these discharge, and transfer letter. Transfer letter is the most least expected letter in OET exam for the medicine part. I don't know about other specialties, but for medicine, there is always a referral and urgent referral, and sometimes discharge as well. So you have to be very particular about the format of the letter, because it varies from letter to letter, and all the 4 letters show somewhat different format of organization of paragraphs actually. Because in discharge letter, If you think that you have to write all the history of the patient given in the case notes, you won't be passed. Surely you won't be passed, because you are writing letter to the patient's doctor, patient GP. What is the purpose of writing all the history of the patient? Like patient is having asthma, he's hypertensive, his father died of cancer. What is the purpose of all this? Always be noted that in the discharge letter, we don't write the past history and social and family history to the patient's doctor, because he is the doctor of the patient as well. You are not the doctor of the patient, he is the doctor. He knows each and everything very well than you, okay? And in urgent and referral letters, urgent referral and simple referral letters, you have to write some of the information. And in transfer letter, you should have write some of the information from the case note, but that information must be relevant. So it is very important for all of you that you should understand the proper format of the letter. If you think that by following the format of the letter for a discharge letter and you can easily put it into the referral letter, it is not like that. You won't score appropriately and you want grade B on that letter, because it is totally a waste. Okay. And another thing is word count. Word count command should be followed strictly, as you may lose your marks if word count is not within the range given. Okay, some of the times what examiner do is, whether your purpose is written very beautiful, you have written a very wonderful letter, there is no grammatical mistake, there is no other thing like that, and your letter is basically error-free. Then what happens if you have wrote a very long letter, like you have exceeding the word count like 300 or 350, then your letter will not be counted in pass letter, okay? So you have to be very careful about the word count, because in OET writing module, you have a word count of, basically they give you a range, and that range is from 180 to 200 words. So you have to make sure about your word count. I have told you that you have to write 4 to 5 paragraphs, and each paragraph should be consistent of 3 to 4 lines. In this way, your word count may be appropriate, but one thing more appropriate you should care for is that the information in the letter must be appropriate, and the case notes you should select to write in the letter must be relevant. There are some journal tips for OET writing. And what are these tips? I advise most of the students that you should at least try 30 letters before your exam. If not 30, then 25 is must, because we all know that practice makes a man perfect. What happens when a student write one letter, the very first letter, I assure you that he won't score grade B in that letter. Most of the students get assessed by me for the very first letter, and their score is like C, C+, even D. So because no one of us is very aware of the format, like purpose, what is the basic, you can say that basic rules of OET writing. So with every practice, with every letter, you become very competent in OET writing, and you should practice as many letters as you can. But the exact figure I told to my student is that it must be 30 or 25. Okay, write the letter with the stopwatch or any timer you have, because what it will do, it will make you practice. It is for your practice for the exam, because in exam you will be given 40 minutes to write a letter. It is not 45. 45 is the total time. And for the first 5 minutes, you have to read the case notes, and you have to skim through the case notes, that what is the relevant information which should I write in the letter. And for the next 40 minutes, you will be given for the writing of the letter. So it is a very wonderful tip, so that whenever you are trying to write a letter, you should have your timer on for the exact 40 minutes, and you should keep it in mind that you have 40 minutes to write a letter. After writing each letter, get it checked from the credible source, academy, and med exam expert, of course, because if you think that you are writing a letter by understanding the format and you are not getting assessed for this, what is the purpose of writing a letter? Can you please tell me what is the purpose of writing this kind of letter if you are not getting assessed for this? This is totally a waste, because you are not having feedback for your letters. So I advise you all, whenever you write a letter, you have understood all the format, that's excellent. But whenever you are trying to write a letter at your own, please have a very credible source of feedback and get it evaluated by expert. So MedExam expert is wonderful choice for this. Get feedback of your letters and rectify your mistakes. Learn from your mistakes and improve. Okay, this is a very wonderful point for explaining OET writing tips here, because what happens when we tell students that this is your mistake and you have to be very careful about this, most of them take it very lenient that okay, I will try it in other letter, but they don't see the previous one, that what are their mistakes. So you should learn from your previous mistakes and then you should try to improve. If you feel that you are struggling regarding OET writing, please do not hesitate to ask for help. If you think that your weakest part is OET writing, then why you are hesitating to take help from any of the experts? So it is your basic right to ask for help, okay? And get your letters checked and get feedback. It's better to seek help than reappearing in OET. It is a very concerning point that why should you not take help at the very first attempt of your exam, and most of the students waste their money on the second attempt. So it is advisable to prepare in the first attempt very good. Do not write rough, only focus on your original letter. Okay, I would like to add another point here, that whenever you are try to practicing your OET writing letter, you should write it on a OET sample sheet. You can find it on the OET website and download it from there, and you can print it as well. Always try to practice on the sample sheet. It will for your practice, it is better for your practice. So it is very advisable to guide you like this. Writing is after listening and reading. We all know that the first module is listening, after that is reading, and after that is writing. Writing is the third module of the OET exam. And you are super exhausted and you have 40 minutes to write the letter. It is very true, because you have done with OET listening and reading, and your mind is a little bit fused after listening and reading part. But you have to be very alert for this part as well, because it is also a top scoring module of OET exam. Okay, consider this subtest the most challenging. Yeah, this one is also true. Now come to OET speaking. We all know that this is the last module of the OET, and you will be given 20 minutes for this. An introduction and identification check for the first 5 minutes. And it is not like that after writing, you have to be there for the OET speaking. There is a list of the candidates according to alphabets, according to roll number, according to candidate number. No one knows the criteria of the list, which is displayed for your time of speaking. But there is a list. Whenever you will be appearing in the exam, you will see the list of the time for your speaking. It can be after 2 hours of writing, it can be after 3 hours, it can be after 4 or 5 hours. No one can know the criteria, and they don't tell the candidates that what is the criteria of the list being displayed for the speaking candidates. So I'm telling you the speaking environment when you enter the speaking room and what happens there. So it is time allocation will be of 20 minutes, and introduction and identification check for the first 5 minutes. You have to introduce yourself to the interlocutor, and he or she will be asked for your identification check, whether it's your ID card, whether it's your passport or any identity document. And then you will be given 5 minutes for the warm-up session. And I have to tell you this, that on warm-up session, you won't be assessed. This is just a usual chit-chat between you and interlocutor, so that you both may get used to each other's voice, okay? And after that, you will be given 2 role plays to complete in 5 minutes. You have to play the role of the doctor, and the interlocutor will be your patient, okay? And you have complete 5 minutes for this. Before that, you will be given 3 minutes for the preparation. You can write your notes in this if you want, because you will be given paper and pen for that. But if you don't want it, you can prepare it in your mind. And after the buzzer rings, after 3 minutes of preparation, you will be given 5 minutes for the completion of the role play. And in this role play, you have to speak to your patient, and you will be recorded for this. Interlocutor will record your speaking, and you won't be given marks at that time. Interlocutor is not your examiner. He's just playing the role of the patient, and you will be assessed for the recorded of your speaking. Okay. So these are some of the basics to get right in speaking module. Number one is introducing yourself well. So introduction is the very basic part of the OET speaking, and your introduction must be wonderful. And after that, asking the relevant questions to the patient. So it is a very wonderful point. If you think that your role play is a bit short and you think that you won't be able to complete in the 5 minutes and you will be given and you will be having time left, what you should do is if you are having a disease like any lesion, any swelling, you can put questions, relevant questions to that case. You can ask about the onset of the swelling. You can ask about the site of the swelling and associated features along with the swelling. So in this way, you can complete your role play in that 5 minutes. And another point is using a positive language. It is a very wonderful point because you will be assessed for English speaking, no doubt. But to show empathy towards your patient is the second point for your assessment on the OET speaking. So you should be very positive for this. Even if your patient is having a cancer or any other life-threatening disease, you should be using a positive language. You have to convince the patient with your empathetic behavior. So you will pass upon this criteria, okay? Ensuring there is a two-way communication and you are not the only speaking throughout the interview. Please ensure that there is a two-way communication. And what is the two-way communication? Most of the students do what? They used to speak by their own, because I am their interlocutor when I used to take a mock. What students do is they continue to speak and they were not involving me as well, because I am the patient. They should ask me that what is your problem, how are you feeling now, but they don't do that. And another important point is that you always ask the patient after completion of your statement that, am I understandable to you? Do you agree? Am I clear to you so far? Statements like this will impact a very positive impression on the examiner. Okay, so never do this that you are not involving your patient in the role play. You have to address all the bullet points. Please try to complete your role play in that 5 minutes. If you think that the role play is a bit long, then what you have to do is you have to address all the bullet points. You don't need to put an extra question in this role play. I was telling for the extra question for that role play in which you think that role play is a bit short. And if you have time remaining, then what you have to do is most of the students do what if they complete their role play in 3 or 4 minutes, and if they have 1 minute remaining, then what they do is they do say thank you, and then there is a complete silence. Whenever you think that there is a time left, you should have to summarize all the role play from A to Z. Okay, then you have to say like this, okay, Mr. John, I understand your concern. You please don't worry, you will recover soon. Here is my number, here is my card. You can contact me anytime and you can come to emergency if you think you are not very well. A statement like these can be can sum up at the end of the role play if you think that you are having the time left. So there are some journal speaking tips, and for speaking tips, always practice 5 to 8 role plays before exam if you are good or average in English. If you think that your English is good and you can perform well in OET speaking, then there is 5 to 8 role play which are must for practicing before the real exam. Always ask for your mistakes and get these corrected in next one by following the mentor advice. You have always, whenever you take mock, whenever you take practice with any of the mentor, you should always ask for your mistakes from the mentor and what is your grade. Okay, so you should be aware of your preparation for the OET speaking. Try to speak in English with friends and colleagues. It may boost up your confidence. If you are a very shy person and you think that your English is not good and not up to the mark, and you may feel, because many of the students do that. When I used to take mock, I have interacted with many of students who were very shy in talking English. So if you think that and you have booked your OET exam, what you have to do is it will give you confidence actually. And what you have to do is try to speak in English with your friends and colleagues. Okay. Always take speaking mocks before exam. Yeah, you should do it. And be confident at exam day. Put all the shyness behind. All students are same. If you have prepared for the exam under proper guidance, you surely will score good. Okay, most of the students think that some other person is superior than me, I'm not competent enough. Please don't do this. On the exam day, be confident and put all the shyness behind, because you are here today for your passing your exam. You have invested all your money, you have invested your time. So what is the reason of thinking all the first in your mind that that one is better than you or this one is better than you? It is not like that every student who have prepared under proper guidance is very good student, and you should not worry about that thing. And you will surely score very good if you have prepared all the modules excellently. Okay. And now I would like to introduce Dr. Iffat. You all know her very well. She's a senior mentor than me. And I would like to continue, Dr. Iffat, for your listening and reading.
Thank you so much, Dr. Maryam. It was indeed a very wonderful session. Everything was elaborated very well, and I hope you all had a good time with her. She explained everything very extensively, so I'll just carry on from here. So I welcome all of you to today's session. Let me just share my screen. Right, so can you all see my screen? Okay, so I welcome all of you to today's webinar. It's going to be interesting. I hope you all will have a good time in this. And we're going to just give you, like Dr. Maryam said, she gave you a very extensive and a very good overview about what OET exam is all about. So I'm going to just add in a few points to it. And yeah, so let's start. So by now you all know what OET exam is, I'm sure, right? So it's simple English language test, like IELTS, like Duolingo, like any other English language exam. And it can be nerve-wracking, it can be difficult, but it just depends upon what's your approach. And if you know in addition to your basic English language skills, if you know the tips and tricks to do each subtest, things are going to get very simple for you, all of you, right? So just don't worry. We're going to be here to guide you at every step if you enroll in our course, and we're going to make sure that you all learn all the tips and tricks to extend to basically ace each subtest, right? So just briefing you all about, by now you know what are the subtests. So we have 4 tests which are going to subtests that are basically 4 skills of English that are being assessed in this exam. You have your listening, which is the first one, followed by reading, writing, and speaking, right? This is the usual order of your subtest. It can also sometimes change, but it's important that you always see your timetable, which has been emailed to you prior to your exam day, so that you have an orientation of what subtest is going to be first, or what's going to be second, and you know the entire thing and how to rotate in it, right? Just was talking about listening. It's usually the first test, and just to give you a brief overview about how it is basically conducted. So whenever you're going to book your exam or book your OET exam, whatever venue you have, there are 2 options. Most of the times they do provide you with hearing with earphones. But in some centers, there is no provision of earphones. So it's important that you clarify if someone has given this exam before prior to you guys. So then you can discuss with that person that what was the available mode of medium for listening, right? So that you can practice in the same way. It's better if you practice in the same way as the exam is going to be conducted, because that's going to help you prepare. And it's going to be like, how you're going to prepare would be according to what instruments or what materials will be provided in the exam, right? There's going to be a sound check, and the venue staff is going to conduct that. And if you cannot hear anything, if you have any problem with any, if you're unable to hear something, if you have a problem with the sound check, then let the people in the venue know about it. Because once the sound check has been conducted and your audio has started, then nobody is going to cater for you and for any other technical issues, right? Unless it's a very big technical issue. But usually, most of the times, things are very smooth and doesn't, you don't require any sort of incident. So talking more about the listening subtest, just for everyone, OET exam can be given by 12 healthcare professionals, which include people from medicine, people from pharmacy, physiotherapists, occupational therapists, optometrist, and all of the 12 healthcare professionals. There's a whole list of it, who can basically, nurses who can basically appear for this exam. Now, when we talk about speaking and writing, the things are going to get very profession specific in that case, right? So if you're a doctor, you're going to get a scenario for your speaking as well as for your writing assignment, which is going to be your profession specific assignment. But when we talk about listening and reading, things are not going to be specific to your profession. So whether you're a doctor, nurse, occupational therapist, physiotherapist, pharmacist, anyone from the healthcare setting, you're going to get a similar paper. And the scenarios or the extracts or the audios, they can be from any healthcare professional setting, right? So if I'm a doctor, I can get an audio based on what a nurse is talking to or briefing his colleague or something. I can get an audio where a physiotherapist is talking or briefing a patient about something. I can get a topic about an occupational therapist discussing a very important issue regarding the acceptance of the patient post accident. So I'm not going to get anything specific to my profession. I can get various audios, or I can get a very extensive sort of audios as well as extracts for reading from any other healthcare setting, right? The reason why your reading and your listening is divided and is very extensive, or it's not very profession specific, is that reading and listening is more like they want to assess your general reading and listening abilities. That is why if your basics are strong in reading and listening, you can easily ace this part, right? So a lot of people do find it difficult. The reason being that they do not focus on making a strong foundation of their overall reading and listening skills. So the point of introducing the other healthcare professions and their audios and their extract, etc., is to just generally assess your reading and listening, say that whether generally can you read and comprehend, whether generally can you listen and understand. So that is the only thing they want to check, right? Now, listening subtest, to further assess and to further divide your assessment, they have further divided this listening and reading part into 3 further parts. So you have a listening part A, you have a listening part B, and then you have a listening part C. Similarly, you have a reading part A, you have a reading part B, and you have a reading part C. Okay, and if we talk about the time duration, so the listening test is around 50 minutes long, right? So, and it's, like I said, it's divided into 3 parts. So you have a quiz booklet or a booklet, right, with all the questions in it from listening part A, from listening part B, and from listening part C. Your exam will always be in the same order. You will first hear your audio for listening part A. Listening part A comprises of 2 patient-led dialogues. 2 patient-led dialogues means that there's a dialogue between a patient and any healthcare professional from the 12 professions who can appear in the OET exam, right? And each audio, so there are going to be 2 audios of that sort, and each audio would be followed by gap-fill questions. Gap-fill questions are fill-in-the-blank questions where different words from the conversation would be missed, right? So you're going to get 12 notes in front of you, and there'll be certain words that are missing, and you have to listen to the audio and put those words in the spaces that are in front of you. That's what your listening part A is all about, right? Once you're done with the first audio, the second audio will start, and the same thing you have to do. You have to fill those blanks with 12 words coming from the conversation or coming from the audio. The important thing in this is it may sound very easy, but the most important and the most frightening thing is that the audio will only be played once. Right? So as the audio is playing, you have to solve your questions there and then. Your audio will not be played again. You will not get time if you've missed out on any blank. You will not. There will be nothing will be played again. So as the audio is progressing, you have to also understand, listen, and pick the right word and put it in the blank that's in front of you. So everything has to be done simultaneously. There'll be no extra time in the end, and nothing will be played again. Okay, so that's your listening part A. It takes about 15 minutes for your listening part A, right? Once you're done with your listening part A, then your listening part B starts. And your listening. Okay, so for spelling mistake, there's a question. For spelling mistakes, you are exempted in case of listening, in case of the listening exam. Okay, in reading, if you make a spelling mistake, that will result in mark deduction. But for listening, you're exempted. There'll be no mark deduction in case of a spelling mistake. Obviously, a very minor spelling mistake. If you've put in a word that has completely changed the meaning of the word that you hear, then obviously you will not get the mark for it. But if there's a slight spelling mistake, it's accepted acceptable if you've put in an abbreviation, a common abbreviation that is universally used in your medical education. For instance, for body mass index or for hypertension, we use HTN, or for body mass index, we use BMI. So these are acceptable abbreviations. So you can even put those abbreviations in the spaces if they're the answer. But yes, if you make up an abbreviation, if you try to put in a synonym, if you try to misspell something in a way that it completely changes the meaning, then obviously you will not get the marks for it. Right? Then we were on listening part B, right? So listening part B is around 10 minutes long. Now, listening part B comprises of 6 audios. All these 6 audios are different from one another. They're from different healthcare settings, and there'll be different conversations, and each audio would be followed by an MCQ question with 3 options. So you have to listen to the audio, choose the best option out, and you have to answer it. But then again, it's not how it seems very simple and interesting at the moment, but there's some tiny, teeny details that are there. And if you join our session, then we're going to reveal all those tips and tricks to ace each of these subtests, right? Because obviously it may sound very easy, but if you even look at the mock or the sample paper that are available on the OET website, you'll get how difficult or tricky it is. So in order to help you ace each section, we would like you all to join our session so that we can reveal all the tips and tricks to each of these sections, right? Next, we have your listening part C. Listening part C, again, comprises of 2 long audios. One's a presentation, the other's an interview most of the times, but sometimes they can be 2 presentations as well. It's around 15 minutes long. Each audio is followed by 6 MCQ questions. Again, 3 options. You have to choose the best one out. And in all of these sections of listening, the audio will just be played once. During the audio, you have to listen, you have to comprehend, you have to understand, you have to put the right option or pick the right option during the audio. Once the audio ends, your questions should also end, because nothing will be replayed. Nothing is going to, you will not have extra time in the end. You will not be given additional time, and you have to just do everything simultaneously, right? So you have a total of 42 questions. It's 24 in your part A, 6 in part B, and 12 in your part C. You have to score 30 right in order to get a B. B is the minimum requirement for GMC, as well as most of the places who are accepting OET. Okay, but it's better if you recheck it, if you reconfirm it wherever you want to apply, whatever trust you want to apply to, or whatever council you want to get registered to. So it's important that you ask their requirements. Okay. So like I've explained, 3 subparts, 42 questions, get 30 out of 42 right to get a B. Total duration of the subtest is 15 minutes. Reason for dividing it into 3 parts is to assess 3 different listening skills. The first listening subtest A is designed to assess your general listening abilities and your ability to listen to particular bits of details. The second listening subtest is designed to assess your ability to listen for gist. And the third listening test is assigned for your ability to listen to the persons or whoever is talking, their opinion, right? So whoever is in the audio, it's an opinionated sort of a conversation, full of experiences, full of their perspective, and the interview is also in the same way. So it's over there, they're assessing whether you can pick up the opinions, whether you can distinguish between facts and opinions, right? And if you've booked a paper-based test, so you need to have a 2B pencil, and you have to fill those inches with the pencil when you're choosing the best option out for part B and C. And for part A, you have to write down the answer. Whereas if you have booked a computer-based test, then obviously you have to type in, or you have to select the best option out. Right. So a few study tips: try practicing in your workplace. If you're currently working in an English speaking environment, that's great. If you're not, still try to, take some colleagues on board, anyone who has to prepare for this exam. Try talking to them in English, try listening to longer audios on conversations. There are lots of healthcare videos online. You can search on YouTube or on Google, and you can get a long list of them, which you can practice to build up your stamina and to build up your ability to listen for longer conversations, and to build up your ability to listen for bits or details. These are a few materials that are also available online, which you can use for the listening part, right? Now, coming to the reading part, the reading part comes after the listening, and the venue staff would read out the set of instructions. If you booked a computer-based test or the paper-based test, you can also see the reading instructions right in front of you, right? Once again, this part is further divided into 3 parts to assess 3 different things. This part is extensive. It takes around 60 minutes. That is 1 hour is dedicated to your reading part. Now, in reading part, one thing you need to remember is that your reading part A is a separate thing and your part B and C is separate. So if you booked a paper-based test, you'll get a separate booklet for your part A and a separate booklet for your part B and C. Similarly, for the computer-based test, your reading part A section will be different. Your part B and C would be different. Okay. Now, the reason for dividing this is that, after your part A, you get a 10 minutes break. So once you're done with your part A, the time period for part A is 15 minutes. Once the time ends, your question paper would be taken away from you and it will not be returned, right? So that's why your part A has a separate quiz booklet. Similarly, when you submit your part A after 15 minutes on the computer-based test, you cannot go back to it. So these are a few things that you need to remember. Part A consists of 4 short extracts followed by 20 questions. So 4 extracts with 20 questions in 15 minutes. So you need to do, you need to expedite your reading abilities because it's an expeditious reading task and you need to be very fast and very quick, and you need to skim and scan for particular words in order to find your answers, in order to answer your questions. You have 3 set of questions, the first being matching tasks, second being short answer questions, and third being gap fill questions. And you have 4 extracts, all similar to the main topic that's on the top, but slightly different one other, which we are going to discuss in detail when you're going to join our session. Next part is your part B, and then you have your part C. Part B and C is you have combined 45 minutes for both of them. So it's up to you how you distinguish or how you divide your time. The quiz booklet is also the same. So it's up to you if you want to go ahead with part C first, you can do that. If you want to do your part B first, you can do that. But it's always advisable to go in the order and do your part B first. So you have 45 minutes in total. It's advisable to give your 10 minutes to part C, whereas the next 35 minutes should be dedicated to your part C. Okay. Part B comprises of 6 short texts, all texts different from one another, all from different healthcare setting. Each text followed by an MCQ question with 3 options, and you have to choose the best option out. Okay, and this part is designed in a way to assess whether you can understand the main idea or the main gist of the conversation or the main outcome of the text that is in front of you. This is followed by part C, which is the most trickiest, most difficult, and leads to a lot of mistakes if you don't have the proper guidance for it. It consists of 2 long extracts. These extracts are around 800 words long, and each extract is followed by 8 MCQ questions, and each MCQ has 4 options, so you have to choose the best one out. It's a very opinionated, it's a semi-academic text that's there, and you have to identify the writer's opinion, writer's perspective, try to justify what he's trying to say. You have to, nothing would be clear in your parts. You have to draw relationship, lots of critical thinking and logical reasoning, analyzing. That is all, and there's a lot of other critical analysis that is required in your part C. So part C is the most trickiest and it's the most difficult one, and with appropriate guidance this part can get very simple and very easy. So it consists of 2. So just the thing is that you need to remember that it's around, you have to spare around 35 minutes for your part C. Okay, so this is how your time should be divided, and this is what the format looks like. Right, now in reading part, one thing for you guys to remember is that don't make spelling mistakes are not exempted in this case. So if you make a spelling mistake, you will not get the mark for it, and you should write in very clear, legible handwriting if you're writing something in. Again, 42 questions, so get 30 right in order to get a B. And you don't have to write synonyms, so you have to always put the right word, the same word that's there in your text in case of part A, right? So a few strategy tips for your reading is that obviously you have to focus on your basics. So try to improve your basics over time, read extensively, read variety of medical topics because it can be from any medical scenario, any healthcare setting. Develop your ability to deal with unknown topics and vocabulary, build your stamina to read longer or extracts or longer texts, especially for part C. If you don't have an extensive vocabulary, so try to build that up, and try also whenever you're reading something. So if it's a small paragraph, try reading it and then summarizing the entire thing in your head so that you know how to summarize things up. And this is going to be very beneficial for your part B and C, right? These are a few resources that you can use where you can find lots of long semi-academic tests as well as shorter forms of text, which can be very useful for you regarding reading. So thank you, everyone. This was all from my side. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Hi, Dr. Iffat. My concern is, can you please tell students that how many number of tests should they practice for both listening and reading before appearing in the real exam?
How many, sorry, can you repeat the question? How many tests?
Number of tests for both reading and listening should they practice before the real exam?
Before the real exam, okay. So it varies from everyone, from a person to person,
Yeah.
because you cannot say that this person will do 3 tests and he will ace it and this will not do. So it just depends upon how your overall preparation is like. I'd suggest what I usually suggest my students is that there are 3 sample papers available on the OET website. Try doing them first, okay, because they're the most closest to what you can get in your OET exam. So do those sample papers very carefully and first start with them. Then if you join our med exam expert, they have a good library as well. So that library is also very extensive, and the papers that are available are also good. And then the mock that we offer, that's also very much similar to what you can get in your OET exam. So I think 4 to 5 papers are more than enough. But yes, try to work on the basics. If you are not focusing on the basics and just solving the papers, it's gonna be just useless. So it's important that you just focus on your basics. The 3 things that they're assessing, focus on that aspect as well. That what are the 3 assessment criteria, what's the assessment criteria? It's all available on the OET website. What are they trying to assess me for? And then try practicing similar exercises which are available on Google, as well as there's certain other resources that you can use which are very much reliable, like EDU benchmark is a very good resource. So yeah, we can practice similar content, but yes, try to focus more on the basics, because even if you do 3 sample papers, they'd be more than enough if you have good preparation and if you're good at it. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Iffat. So Dr. Iffat has explained very well. So candidates, please, if you have any query regarding writing and speaking module, you can ask your questions. So there is no query related to writing and speaking, is it?
Okay. So there's a question, what do you mean focus on the basics? Basics means that you focus on your basic skills of reading and listening, right? That being that how to, when you're reading anything, you should know in what speed or in what time you're supposed to finish that content. Okay, that's your basics. That you've been given an 800 word long passage and that's in front of you. Within 1 to 2 minutes, you should be able to go through it and also comprehend at the same time. That's what your basic is. That's how you have to improve it. Secondly, another important basic is vocabulary, right? If you don't know what a certain word means in a content, how would you understand what are they asking you, or what does it mean? Or especially for part C, how would you try to, infer what are they trying to convey to you in your part C? So build your vocabulary. That comes in basics as well, right? And then the third important thing would be to pause and summarize. When you're reading something, just don't read it, just don't skim through it. Also comprehend it in your brain. In your head, you should be comprehending it at the same time. If you're unable to do it, take a pause, summarize things, and make notes out of it. That will help you in improving your basics. That is all what basics is all about. Similarly, for listening as well, if you're practicing any audio, summarize, pause, try first listening to it at a lower speed, then try increasing the playback speed for it. built on your vocabulary. BBC Good English, it's a very good resource on YouTube. Try practicing audios from there if you have any, because that's very useful for improving your overall listening skills. So I hope you understand what's basics.
Good afternoon. I just want to ask, is there any other courses you are offering other than this OET live course?
Okay, we are offering the OET course. For that you can contact our course coordinator. Other than that, the other courses, again, you can talk to her and she'll let you know if you're talking about the other courses that MedExam
No,
is
not
organizing.
other courses, just reading, or only if we want to practice this writing, or like if we want to take individual module. Is it any other option available other than this live course of 1 month?
Okay, so for that, I'll ask Ramesh to elaborate.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, because I'm not sure about what other courses or how they have divided the entire thing. So since she's the course coordinator, I would like her to answer this question. If she wants to answer it here, that's great.
Ramesh, are you there?
Yes, Dr. Maryam, I'm here. Yeah, dear doctor, you can join us like for one-on-one reading sessions. We are also offering, and like one-on-one listening sessions. Or if you wanna just prepare for one module, we can offer you that. For further guidance, you can contact me. I've just dropped my number in the chat box. You can just check out there. Thank you.
Okay, now let me explain our OET live course for the duration of 1 month. In this course, you will be having live sessions, which are 16 live sessions, and 4 sessions for each module, 4 for reading, listening, writing, and speaking as well. And for practice material, you will be given reading exercises with answer key, listening exercises with answer key, speaking role play cards for practice, and writing case notes. And for add-ons, there will be 3 letter writing assessment with proper feedback, which may be a detailed feedback, okay? And study room guidance and session recordings, access for later revision, and 24/7 technical support. It is our OET live course, whose duration is for 1 month. If you want to get registered, there's a number visible on the screen, as well as there is an email ID, or as well as you can contact Ramesh for your registration process. And our next course for the February attempt is going to start on 9th of January from Monday. And there comes OET assessment plan. And we have divided it into different levels. And for level 1, for those who haven't started preparing yet. And in this package, what we are offering is 8 letter writing assessment, 10 reading mocks, 10 listening mocks, and one-on-one free speaking mock. For level 2, this is for those who have 50-50 preparation. And it includes 5 letter writing assessment, 5 reading mocks, 5 listening mocks, and 1 free speaking mock. And level 3 is for those who just need a final revision, who are in their revision phase. And it is consistent of 3 letter writing assessment, 3 reading mocks, and 3 listening mocks, along with 1 free speaking mock. Okay. So this was all about today's webinar. If there is any question, any query, you can ask. So there is a question, what about speaking practice? I'm sorry, I'm not able to understand. What you want to know about speaking? If you want to book yourself for the mock exam, you can contact our team, our coordination team for this. And if you want to take a course for speaking, you can also register yourself for this. So there is a very important thing Ramesh has shared, our free WhatsApp group, and we conduct daily activities in this, and activities are from Monday to Friday, and time is 3 p.m. GMT. And on Monday and Friday, there is a writing day, and other 3 days are reading, listening, and speaking. You all can join it, and link has been shared in the chat box. Okay, another question. Okay, Ramesh has answered. Okay, still there is any other question, please ask away. Okay, I think there is no other question. And thank you all for today's webinar. Thank you for your participation, and good luck for your exam.
So thank you everyone for joining today's session. We'll be looking forward to having you in our coming course, and we wish you all the best. If you still have any queries or concerns, you can contact Ramesh and she'll elaborate you regarding the material, regarding the price and everything, right? So hoping to see you all in our sessions. Take care everyone, and with this we're going to conclude this.